limpopo ni mtima umo Kaunda tie anywhere That's why we say on Zambia One nation One leader KK Only KK Listen brothers KK Listen sisters KK We the people of Zambia love and treasure you We the people of Zambia wish you well One Zambia One nation One leader KK
Happy 60th anniversary to the Republic of Zambia. Welcome to Zani's Copper Belt. It's great to come to you on our newly launched channel, which is Zani's Television. And of course, we are celebrating Zambia at 60 in different ways. We've seen quite a number of programs, that are all touching Zambia's independence, taking us back to some of the greatest moments that we've seen in our country, some of the greatest achievements, and indeed, best of all, getting independence officially on the 24th of October, 1964. 60 years on, we are rewinding back in time and looking back to different sectors, aspects of Zambia as she celebrates this 60th anniversary. And joining me in studio is Mr. Desai, who happens to be a son to one of the freedom fighters that fought for the independence of this country. And we will get to learn more about him, more about the many trips they made to ensure that this independence that we are celebrating today is made possible. Welcome and happy 60th independence anniversary to you, sir.
Thank you, and it applies to everybody in the country. Happy 60th independence anniversary. And also let me take this opportunity to congratulate Zani's Copper Belt and Zani's at national level, because I saw the clip yesterday. It was officially launched in Lusaka, and it was a long overdue to have our own government mouthpiece. Thank you very much for having me here.
Indeed. Now, Mr. Desai, you were born here in Ndola, and your dad was one of the people that played a role in ensuring that Zambia was independent. Met with Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Later on during this broadcast, you will take us around memory lane as we look to, the meetings your dad, Dr. Kaunda, had with the UN and many other bodies just to ensure that we gained our independence. Perhaps let's start off with your personal background, and then we will talk more about your dad.
I was born in Ndola, and I'm the oldest son to late T.L. Desai, MP. We are 5 siblings together with me. We are educated in Ndola for primary. Then for secondary education, we had to go to Lusaka, because being an Indian, there was only one secondary school, which was Prince Philip, which is now known as Kamala Secondary School. And that school is a boarding school. It was specifically for coloreds and Indian community.
So there was segregation.
Segregation was there, that's why we had to go to Lusaka. Yet there was a Llewellyn High School in Andola, in Kansenshi, which is known as Kansenshi Secondary School. That was Llewellyn High School. That was meant for only Europeans.
Ah, okay. Wow, quite interesting. Then what happened thereafter?
Thereafter, I finished the secondary education. Then I came back. We didn't have any provision for university in those days.
Wow.
There was no university,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
Or there were no colleges where you could take any diploma course or anything. So either if you could afford, you can go out of the country. If you couldn't afford, you start looking for work and start working. And that's how we started.
Wow.
So I started my work. Before that, I was in my family business. They put me there, which was in Fiole, which is about 40 km from here on the Kabwe Road.
Right.
Fiole Hill Mission.
Right.
Yeah. So we were there. Then came back to Andola, started working for one or two companies. Then in '68, there was the first economic reform. So being a Zambian, I could get a retail trading license. And that's how I started my business on 8 January 1969 on Chisokon Avenue.
Wow. Wow.
Okay, and because of reform which was brought in by first Republican president, that only Zambian could trade in the retail trading in the second class or in townships. So that's how I started. And that time, there were only about 8 shops. All shops were there, but they were closed. There were only about 6 to 8 shops which were running.
Wow.
Who were Zambians.
Along Chisokone Avenue
Yes,
in Dola.
and it was quite busy period.
Right, right. Now, your dad became member of parliament. Perhaps take us back to his political background. How did he get to meet Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, and when did this happen? Let's kick off from there.
His political journey started in late '53 when Federation was brought in. And he was totally against, like any other freedom fighters, they were totally against bringing 3 countries together to form one federation instead of giving each individual country an independence. So he was involved in a lot of underground. That time you could not come out openly and support black community or Africans or natives, they used to call. So it was all behind the scene. Indirectly, there were a lot of commitments, going from point 1 to 2, transferring some documents. Because if President, that time it was known as Mr. Kaunda, used to travel anywhere, at any point in time he could be searched, together with all his associates. So there are certain paperwork, documents, secret documentation, private, they used to be carried by people like my father and others.
Okay.
To take from point 1 to point 2.
Okay. So your dad could not be searched?
Though there was some surveillance going on, because at times after that they knew something was going here.
Right, right.
Yeah. So
in the beginning they were not so suspicious.
But after 1 or twice they started searching, and they were monitoring his movement.
Wow.
So that all started in 1953. 59, it was a main climax. 59, 60, 61, openly now, supporting. Going to the rally in Tuapia, all that area, they were there in the forefront.
And of course, that was a point where Dr. Kaunda would travel across. You had Harry Mwanga Nkubula.
That's right.
Yes, to mobilize all this.
Yes.
Now take us through to the election of 1962, or just before the election, there was a trip, I reckon.
There was a trip, UNIP that time selected 4 members of the delegation multiracial delegation to go to United Nations. And the four were Mr. Kenneth Kaunda, Mr. Arthur Wiener, Sir Stuart Gord Brown, and T.L. Desai. So they traveled to United Nations to present the decolonization of Northern Rhodesia to the assembly membership of 17 in the Security Council. And that committee was chaired by C.S. Jha, J.H.A., who was the ambassador from India. He was the chairman of that committee. So they started listening to the evidence, what one had to say among the four delegates. I have the original transcript of United Nations, which are with me, and they gave the evidence what is actually was happening on the ground. And they insisted on breaking away of the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland, and each three countries be given a sovereign state of independence individually, with Northern Rhodesia, Zambia, Nyasaland, Malawi, and there was a problem with Southern Rhodesia. At later stage, they declared a UDI because they didn't want to let go. And the capital city of Federation was Salisbury.
Salisbury, right.
Right? So all the money which was revenue coming in from the mines on the Northern Rhodesia, they were all being stacked in Salisbury. So when you see Salisbury and Lusaka in those days, you could see the high-rise building in Salisbury, but you couldn't see anything in Lusaka or on the Copper Belt. Same thing goes with the Nyasaland, because it was agriculture belt.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. So, upon traveling to the UN, presenting evidence to the UN, following year, 1963, at what point did we have elections? Was it 1963?
Late 1963 election was there.
Right.
64 election, but the preparation was started in 63.
Okay.
Because that's the time after that independence meeting, they had delegation to Commonwealth and at London.
London,
Yeah.
right.
And they agreed to give independence to Zambia and Malawi, Nyasaland.
Right.
And also Rhodesia. But Rhodesia, in meantime, they declared UDI, and they wanted a black government there.
Right.
Right.
Right. Indeed. Now, after that, I see your dad became member of parliament. Perhaps share with us. I know in the current state we have 4 constituencies in Ndola. Back then, when your dad became member of parliament,
There were certain reserve seats in Andola also, but not in Andola. They made it to Copperbelt North, Copperbelt South, Copperbelt West, East.
Okay.
So those seats were reserved for European community.
Okay.
Okay. So for Andola West, it was only my father, T.L. Desai.
Okay.
Then the other seats were demarcated different area.
Right. And where was Parliament sitting back then?
Parliament was sitting in Lusaka,
Okay.
right?
Right. To what we currently refer to as Cabinet Office.
Cabinet Office, that's right.
Okay. Okay. So just before we had the Manda Hill, the National Assembly constructed,
That's right.
sitting for Parliament is where today you have the Ministry of Defense, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And the Office of the Vice President.
President, yes.
Cabinet Office in Lusaka. Now, let's look back to life back then. How would you describe the economic situation during the tenure of your dad and, of course, during the tenure of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda? Just especially that Zambia was a young country, a new country, and everyone was in what I would describe as job on training.
Yes.
How was it?
Very slow economy, right? Because we didn't have any reserves. Because after the break of the Federation, whatever the resources which built up, they were all stacked in Salisbury.
Oh. Wow.
So we started from scratch. Economic plans, everything, it was started from zero. We had all our bank, central bank and all that. And as we went along, the rules started coming into place. Right, export and all that. I was cutting somewhere. That time the price of the copper was about 230 pounds a ton. Against what is happening now, or what happened 700 pounds, 1,000 pounds. And then all the infrastructure which you see, which were built, the university and all that structures, all they came after independence. Some of the high-rise building in Lusaka, in Andola, like in Plembe House, right? That was the only building. Then we had this plaza, Zambia State Insurance Flats, Premium Plaza. Those are the only skyscrapers in Andola. But Lusaka had quite a few of them. Provident House in Lusaka, Provident House in Andola, right? Building Society.
Interesting.
But all this residential area part, even up to airport site, in that time the airport was city airport. And you must also remember, all the international flight first used to come to Andola. Andola was the only international airport after Salisbury.
So if you wanted to fly out of Zambia, whether you lived in Lusaka, Livingstone, you'd have to come
to Andola.
Wow. And some of the biggest names in aviation.
Yeah, they were there, like British Caledonian, they used to come here, which was from London, daily flights.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, then you had East African Airways, which was combined Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, I think.
Wow.
We didn't have any flight from South Africa because of apartheid.
So
There was no direct flight. If somebody wanted to go to Johannesburg, they had to go, or there somebody wanted to go to Zimbabwe because of the sanction, you had to go via Botswana.
Oh, okay.
And then you go by road or fly from there to Harare, Bulawayo, or Johannesburg. But there was no direct communication, airline from here.
Now, when we look at the location of Zambia, centrally located, the Copper Belt, with mining at its core, how was it in the early days for our people just after independence, getting into jobs and providing for their families and so on? Because we hear stories, young people mainly, hear stories of how you would have, would it be milk every morning by the door? How true are those stories?
No, those stories are very true, because you could get a daily newspaper delivered to your home. You could get a dairy produce board delivering the milk bottles. After the milk bottle, it came a Tetra Pak. They used to be delivered.
Wow.
Then as the country and the population grew, then they could not keep the demand with the demand, so people had to struggle. And there was a period where there was a lot of shortage. From cooking oil to bread, confectionery, there was a real shortage, especially after UDI. Because there was a sanction, the border was closed, and there a lot of things had to be, including even the fuel had to be transported in a cargo flight, coming into drums.
We saw some videos which we should be running now, but there wasn't any explanation of fuel that was delivered at current Peter Zuze Airbase, which was Lola International Airport.
Yes.
What was the story behind the clip that's running right now?
Yes, the fuel used to come from Dar es Salaam by air.
Wow.
It used to come into 244-gallon drums, which is about 210-liter drums, steel drums. And it used to be offloaded here. because that time we didn't have those Tazama facilities or Indiani.
Is that why there was a shortage of fuel at most service stations?
Yes, there was a shortage, and there was also fuel ration. And ration was such bad that you needed to walk more than drive a car, because you get a month's supply for 8 gallons or 2 gallons a week, which is about 8 or 9 liters.
Wow.
Where can you go?
Wow.
So there was a monthly coupon, there was a card system, and there was a coupon return for the month, week 1, week 2, week 3 for October, November, December. Like. And they used to cut at the filling station because they had to account with the government department who were checking, auditing.
Wow.
If nobody has given extra fuel, then what is entitled?
Wow. Wow. And how long did that last for?
They lasted for good 6 months to 1 year.
Wow. And that's what then saw Dr. Kenneth Kaunda and former President
Julius Nyerere.
Yes, Julius Nyerere.
Yes.
Come up with the Tazama,
Tazama,
which was also officially launched right here in Ndola.
In Ndola.
Yes. Your memories on that?
Because we were landlocked, and Zambia needed more support than even Tanzania, because Tanzania had a port. They were not landlocked tigers. But we relied on everybody. We are landlocked and surrounded by 8 countries, right? So they had that time delegation going to China. And it is China who came to the rescue of Zambia by putting up a pipeline and a railway line. And the refinery was funded by Italian government. Because when you bring in crude oil, you needed to process the crude oil through a pipeline. So that's also another memory for pipeline. A lot of lives were lost. It took a lot of construction work, but eventually it worked out. Same thing goes for the Tazara also.
Wow.
And that was the only outlet for us. Because of apartheid, we couldn't go to Durban, which could have been nearer, not nearer as such, but with the good roads, it could have been more easier. But because of apartheid, there was a blockade. And after UDI was declared, Zambia had a tough time. Number of bridges were blown up by Rhodesian fighters. And there was penetration of soldiers on the foot in certain area of Zambia to destroy our investment in form of power lines or railway lines or whatever it is, bridges. So they wanted to make our country really landlocked. Within Zambia also, he could not travel from one province to another province because he had to cross the bridge, and the bridge was blown up.
Wow, wow. Which explains the high numbers of spies that came into Zambia, especially in Lusaka, espionage.
Yes.
On another interview, was talking to a veteran politician, Venon Mwanga, who highlighted some of the difficulties they had and situations where no one could be trusted because, even a substation had to be safeguarded.
Yes, definitely.
Because you didn't know where Rhodesians will hit you next.
That's right.
Yeah, and many attempts were made on Dr. Kenneth Kaunda.
Yes.
Right. Now, let's look back. Your fond memories of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, because you come a long way. Yourself, your dad, is from your dad down to you.
Very humble man.
Right.
He followed the principle of Mahatma Gandhi, non-violence. He was a strictly vegetarian. He stayed at our place, and my mom knew what to cook for him. strictly boiled vegetables. Well, today's Zambians will laugh, how can you survive on vegetables? They have survived and we are surviving still. Right? And his only drink was fresh lemon juice, with a bit of salt and water. No chicken, no meat. He stopped the day he started struggle of independence. And it is there in his autobiography. And then they decided to go into full force now for struggle. So they were not worried about being locked up or being chased or what. And most of them have been into prison in and out for the sake of Mother Zambia. And today, the foundation which he built was One Zambia, One Nation. It was a solid multiracial society where there is no ethnicity or tribal or racial or color or anything, no. And that way, hats off to him. Today, whatever we are enjoying the peace in the country, we may have a few incidences, one or two here and there, but that is not nothing compared to what other countries have been going through for the independence struggle or post-independence. That way, we had a very solid foundation, and he took all the provinces together. They were not looking at any particular tribe in the government, civil service, or anything. They were all together. You can even look at his composition of his cabinet, and the list which is there for the first MPs who were elected. They were truly Zambians.
Interesting. You may have noticed that our studio has been decorated, lovely decorations behind us, pictures taking us back to what we're talking about. And what it is that shortly, Mr. Desai and I will walk up to these pictures. The little gallery here, it's got quite a lot of history, from letters signed by Dr. Kaunda to pictures at his house, like he was describing, among many others, which we will run and show you during this interview as we look back into time. I just love this one in particular.
Yes, that was a symbol he was explaining what is the meaning of Kwacha. Or Kwacha, yeah. Or the independence slogan,
Wow.
Kwacha, right? And that particular photo is signed by him.
Right.
Right, and there's a date written there, 1961, there's a...
Oh yes,
Yes.
1961,
Yeah.
right there.
Yes.
Right there. Not sure if Dorcas is able to pick that. Yeah, right there. Sure thing. So let's step out and have a look at our gallery. And as we do that, you will join us as we take you through Mr. Desai's gallery, the history he has. And interestingly, not so long ago, we were celebrating Ndola at 120. I kid you not. We did run to Mr. Desai for historic pictures of the beautiful city of Ndola and other parts, including pictures of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, as you can see right here. We have all that information right here. So, Dorcas, you will guide us. You're ready for us. So now we're stepping out. Now we are having a look at the pictures here, and Mr. Desai will take us through his gallery right here. Mr. Desai, you may proceed.
Thank you. So this is the picture where a delegation of UNIP went to United Nations, New York, in April 1962 to present the decolonization of Northern Rhodesia. So that's late T.L. Desai, Mr. Kaunda, Mr. Arthur Vina, Sir Stuart Gore Brown.
Right.
Right? And there's a message which was written by Dr. Kaunda in his own handwriting and signed by all the 4 delegates.
Wow. Wow.
Right? This is Dr. Kaunda. After post-retirement, he visited our home in 2002. And that is his last handwritten message to the family,
Wow.
signed by him. This, and these 2 photos, they're at the United Nations. So this is Arsavina. He's talking to the chairman of the decolonization. It's ambassador from India. That is C.S. Jha.
Okay.
Right? And also same, my father there is being introduced to Sir Stuart Gore Brown, to the chairman of the, right?
Right.
This is a Security Council where they are given evidence.
The time they were presenting
Yes.
the case.
Yes.
Right.
Right. There are 4 of them, they are seated there.
Yes.
And this is chairman being introduced to Mr. Kaunda,
Dr. Kaunda.
Yes.
Right. Wow.
head of UNIP president. And this was one of the ambassador from African country.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Going back here, that's at the Security Council, United Nations. Same thing here and same thing there.
Right.
And that's a delegation there, right? And the message which was written by Dr. Kaunda, it's written here. This one is a pre-1962 election campaign meeting at the Hindu Hall in Andola.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Wow.
So that's late Arun Milna. He just died sometime last year. I
Yes,
think.
not too long ago. I
He
remember.
died in Harare, and the body was brought here and
Brought here, yes.
and buried in Lusaka. I
Yes.
think at memorials. That's Nalumino Mundia,
Aluminium.
firebrand of UNIP.
Yes.
That's T.L. Desai,
Right.
because he was standing in the Andola constituency, 62 election, but he lost the election because there wasn't support from European community.
The European
They went for Cecil Barney, the white.
Ah, I
He
see.
was against him.
Right.
And then there's Louis Changufu and the other
Some popular
firebrand of
names.
UNIP. Yes. Right. That's it.
Right. Okay.
And then this one here, I'll be able to pick it up from here.
All right.
This is the first national MPs, or which you call Member of Legislative Council, Member of Legislative Assembly, MLA, they used to call that time. Now we
Right.
call Member of Parliament. So this is the first pre-independence photo together when they came to the Parliament House, the old Parliament.
The old Parliament
Yes.
cabinet,
Cabinet
office, currently.
And
cabinet
this is government gazette, official government document, gazetted members of parliament who were elected. And this gazette is dated 31st of January 1964. That's official documentation.
Right.
Similar to Kaunda's photo, that is Simon Mwanza Kapwepwe. Also, he has signed his autograph
Oh,
there.
that's his actual
Yes,
autograph.
yes.
Lovely.
Yes.
Indeed. The man that named this country Zambia.
Yes.
Right. All right.
And going back to this side, there are some
maybe
old
I
newspaper
can-
cuttings.
They bring this here. Right.
That is our future. That's a publication for UNIP, right? That is in 1962. Your children and the future. It's a mouthpiece of UNIP, this document. This is a United Federal Party manifesto, one of the candidates.
Dollar Rural.
Yes. And that is Central African Mail, predecessor for Zambia Daily Mail.
Oh, so this is
Yes.
what we now call
Called
Zambia
Zambia
Daily
Daily
Mail.
Mail,
It
yes.
used to be called the Central African Mail.
Yes. Stop
Without
it.
fear or
Kaunda
favor.
tells
Oh,
mobs.
yes. Stop it. Kaunda tells mobs.
Mobs.
Okay.
And that's Kopepe with his wife,
Right.
right?
Right.
These are the official party documents, campaign material for Liberal Party.
Right.
There were some Africans candidates also for Liberal Party. They were there for UFP, United Federal Party also, United Progressive Party, they were all there. So these are the cutting also. Sarai Walensky,
Yes.
you can say Lusaka would be,
Repeats his warning in Lusaka.
Lusaka, yes.
Would use force to protect
Protect
federation.
Federation, yes.
Yes. Wow. 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 It was quite tough.
He was holding it with the iron fist. He didn't wanted to break up a federation
Wow.
because he,
Copper.
you can see the
234 British pounds.
and
a
what
pound.
date it's there?
11th April 1962.
Yes.
Wow.
We used to get daily copper prices in the paper.
That's
And
a
this
lot of
is
money.
Kaunda when he visited my home in Chisokon Avenue in Andola, and that's my mother.
Right.
They used to call brother and sister
Ah.
because they were born in the same year of 1991.
Okay,
I
that's
mean 1924. 1924.
Right.
Right, and they just clocked 100 year last year.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So they're just talking and refreshing the memory because they come and they used to stay at our place.
Indeed.
And this is when I became a lion governor. My guest of honor was Dr. Kaunda. So this was at the Savoy Hotel when we were having a working breakfast.
Wow.
So this is a story of UNIP, right? Which are all this publication in those days. All the articles are there.
Wow.
That's for United Nations. When they went to
The four, yes.
yeah. The better days.
Bitter days of 62.
Yes. Bitter days.
1962 was quite a difficult
Yes,
year.
yes.
Because from what we see
Yeah.
here, and that's just a year before the Federation
Yes.
finally collapsed,
Collapsed, yes.
the dawn of 1963, that's what
Yes.
they were fighting.
Yeah.
And of
In the
course,
first month of power.
power. Wow.
That's Fines Bulwayo, if you heard of his name.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
And Independence time, that's his official dress for Kaunda.
For Dr.
It's a
Kaunda.
Chiteje, used to call toga or something.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Freedom at last.
Last.
Wow.
That's a UNIP whole symbol.
Yes. And of course, our copper
Yeah.
golden eagle.
Zambia
Zambia
begins.
begins. Wow. Building up from
The wreck,
the
yeah.
wreck.
The
yes,
records. That
yes.
means
Now putting up power lines, I can
yeah,
see.
the blowing of the power lines, the blowing of the bridges.
Wow, 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 wow. To a new parliament building,
Yes.
the University of Zambia.
And this one is Lusaka Summit.
Mulungushi International Conference Center, constructed in 1970, you know, for a summit at short notice.
Yes.
But Yugoslavia came in quite
Yeah.
handy and put up the structure
And the
there.
Lusaka Summit. Yes, non-aligned.
Indeed.
Yes. UNIP salutes its courageous leader.
Wow. Rhodesia slums border shut, border of blood. That's the Times of Zambia.
Zambia.
And papers that are still there today.
Yes.
Still giving us information.
Information, yes.
Indeed, indeed.
Thank you.
Well, there's a lot of information. Let me just put this back. That
Thank you.
We are back. There's a lot of information that you've got to look at to understand where we are today. And it's through programs like this one where we host guests like Mr. Desai that has been part of the story, that has lived and can tell the story about Zambia, from the challenges to the triumph, like what you're seeing right here. Now, Mr. Desai, as we conclude this interview, there's a lot that we can still look through. Where would you, looking back from where Zambia has come from to where we are today, what would be your word of advice to young politicians and young people, and basically the nation at large?
Our future depends on the young generation. And on a serious note, everything lies in patriotism. You got to be patriotic to your country, first and foremost. And hard work. And I think the President has been saying just during this week, we Zambians, we need to jack up and give our best. And to the young generation, responsibility. Because the infrastructure which is there, it has been very costly to put up. Maintain it. Up to last couple of years, I can safely say after the new dawn came in, before that there was hardly any maintenance work being done to the government buildings. We can see some changes now in that area, because at times they were just an eyesore. Such a beautiful building, and they could not even afford a coat of paint. And when you go to other facilities, the general population have to appreciate what the government is doing for them instead of vandalizing the institution or the facilities which has been created for them to enjoy are being vandalized day in, day and night. They need to come up to their senses. It is public money who's spending, we are spending. We are paying taxes, and from all the taxes, these are the facilities which have been created to make our life easy. But once you start vandalizing and stealing, and that's it, the country will never progress. We are 60 years of independence. Yet every time we are talking, we want to build a nation like a Dubai or Singapore, it will just be a dream. You walk into the city center, the council have got all the protection it needs, bylaws, but they don't have members of staff to administer the bylaws or council police. If there's a litter thrown, I see the women sweeping the roads in Chisokone or in President Avenue, 05 in the morning. It's clean. By the time you come to your office at 8 o'clock, the streets are clean. Come by 9 hours, you find litters everywhere. Why? The bins were provided, they ended up stealing the bins, right? The mindset, destructive mind, need to change. And you need to think of your future generations. And it starts from day one. Start from our age, your children's age, your grandchildren's age. Appreciate what the country has done for you. And every individual, Zambians or residents, have a part to play the upliftment of this country. And this country, I can tell you, it can progress tremendously. It's only people need to put their minds together. Whatever problem we are going through now, load shedding, shortage of this or that, it is not anyone's making. It is the natural calamities. You cannot blame any individual for that. Who would thought we will have a drought? Nobody thought. So let us hope we come out of all this. And all successive government did not plan properly on the energy sector, because on one side we are inviting investors and there's no power. So simultaneously with the development, you need to also look into other sector, road infrastructure, maintenance. We are putting up roads, but we never used to maintain. And that small 6-inch pothole became 60 inches. And a lot of lives have been lost. And for that one, you can't blame anyone. It is the people who are inherited to do the work. They are not doing it, and have not been doing it. So it's a good concept of PPP, where they will maintain the road infrastructure for next 25 years. So it would have lived its life, and they will start again. And everything is moving into positive, right direction. We are not politicking here, I'm not politicking here. But these are my individual, my views, what I see it, and what other people see it. Okay, where we have come from, where we are, and where we want to go. And if we cannot distinguish between those three, then I think we are doomed. That's my opinion.
Mr. Desai, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you. Pleasure.
And thank you so much for your service to the nation.
Yes, thank you.
As a nation and young people, among everyone else,
Yes.
we are very grateful.
Thank you very
for
much.
what you have done for our country. And yes, thank you so much for joining us. Zambia at 60, we're still celebrating, and we still have more interviews looking back to where our country has come from to get to Zambia at 60. On behalf of our entire production crew that have made this production possible from Zani's Copper Belt, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Tima umo Tiloke Limpopo Nimtima umo Kaunda tie anywhere. And that's why we say one Zambia, one nation, one leader, KK. Listen, brothers, KK. Listen, sisters, KK. We, the people of Zambia, love and treasure you. We, the people of Zambia, wish you well. On Zambia.